I'm showing we're live.
Yeah, I'm showing it too. I keep hitting my ball. Welcome. We are live. Big Scott 35, Nats man. And tonight, if you can't win, you bring them all in. You bring all the Hall of Famers to you. Freshly minted off his tour of the last week or so. We got Brad 8671 in the house. I just want to say congratulations. To me, well deserved. I think this, when I define the things I look for in this type of Hall of Fame, we know it's kind of tongue in cheek going along, but I tell you what, you do the giveaways, popping on shows, way you meet people and greet people in person in the community. You check a lot of boxes for us, Brad. Me and you met. I'll let you talk in a minute, but I won't gush over you for a minute. We met at the National Chicago 2 years ago, and I always talk about how I'm so lucky to be friends with Mike and Ed and Dave because they introduced me to you. And then we hung out with some other OGs that really don't do stuff anymore, but I got to hear about the good old days, the Wild Wild West, as you kind of mentioned it that night. And then through that, I get to watch Dave and, Bronco Steve and these guys. I want to say thank you for that. For a historian like myself, I went to college for history. To know where we come from, it helps you to kind of know what you're supposed to be doing and the direction we're going in. So when you hear things, comments from the past, it's nice to know where they came from. So thank you for that, Brad, and welcome to my show. How do you follow up that?
I don't even know how I can follow up that. I'm just hoping this YouTube Hall of Fame patch gets me a discount like the card shop or something. I'm going to take it in there and see what happens.
Take it everywhere.
Like, this is
you just flash it. You just happen to flash it.
I tell you, one person that was gushing over you getting it is your niece. She was, you heard it. She was,
and I had nothing to do with it.
She understands what Hall of Fame means. Maybe not in our context, but just videos like that are great. So was that your brother doing that video?
Yeah, my brother recorded it. And
so do you and your brother look alike or smile alike or?
No, believe it or not, we're different. He probably looks more like mom. I look exactly like dad.
Okay. When she smiled, I was like, well, she got your smile, man. And I was like, maybe that's a family trait. I don't know, but
yeah, we'll see if we get her hooked or not. We'll see if, sometimes it's just the you love doing it the one time and then you go away, or if she'll still. Right. But it was cool that she hit the Justin Fields. He didn't have the full video of that. I guess she just went crazy over that. He didn't have a full video of that part.
Well,
so that was cool.
I knew Uncle has some influence because she got a little excited over Tua.
Yeah.
So. Oh, there's James. You got James. You got a lifelong friend there, Gilliam. You'll probably meet him this year at the show. He's one of the great commenters in the community. Falsy YouTubers get Hall of Fame, gets the girls. Yeah. So what I was thinking about, I told you right before we came on, I was thinking about, who can I get on for the football season's over, but let's close it out in the right way. Who can I get on? And I was like, Brad, natural subject for me. We still can. We got hockey. Got a little hockey. I would like to talk to you about it too as well. See, look at you smiling. I said football, Brad. There you go. So we have those things, and then we have a little baseball. I want to talk to you about it as well. But I was going to ask you last weekend, what they do, next time, I hope the NFL talk to me. Let's start that game about an hour and a half earlier so it doesn't interrupt my show.
Well,
we got to
you
work
should
on
definitely petition that for sure.
that.
You'll have the influence by then to be able to do it.
Right. Or at least let me do the halftime show. I can have the show during that.
It would have probably been better. I mean,
Did y'all see where did you see where one of the dancers on the upper level almost fell off?
No.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, they had one of the dancers almost fell off. He was on the upper level one.
I can't believe they weren't wearing cables.
Yeah, I noticed Rihanna was, but no one else was.
Well, I saw they had the cable hooks on there, and I was just like, man, I have to learn all the OSHA stuff. And if you're going 4 foot in the air and not in the secure in between the rails of your ladder, you better be hooked into something.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I was like, good. I didn't get away with this one. But as I watched you on Amish, Dave and Bronco Steves, you talked a little bit about the Super Bowl there. Is it kind of the way you thought it was going to? I mean, it was an awesome game.
Yeah, the first half was exactly what I thought it was going to be.
Right.
Yeah, you had a Hurts fumble that was returning for a touchdown. You don't predict that stuff, but
right.
I thought the Eagles were just a little bit better.
Yeah,
and it looked that way the first half. But then the second half started, and once it started going downhill, this team never seen a wide receiver in motion before. It looked like
right.
Like this is the same offense Andy Reid's been running for 20 years, and it's like they've never seen it before.
Right.
Because it's different if you're, like Kelsey just makes a great play, or Mahomes didn't even get Mahomes.
Right.
He made basic play. This looked like an Alex Smith offense they were running.
Right.
And it worked because
the only play he ran, he scrambled for that one little first down on one leg. I can tell you he's having some problems. I mean, whatever he took at halftime, I hope they send it to me from an arthritic knee. That'd be awesome. But
well, I'm starting to wonder, is he becoming like the new Ben Roethlisberger, where every injury he makes it seem bigger than what it is? Or was he actually? Because you remember Big Ben, it always looked like his arm was going to fall off. Right. Or they're going to have to cut off his leg at halftime.
Yeah,
and
that's just when he laid the motorcycle down, right?
And I'm like, Mahomes is going to start doing this every year. I don't.
I guess because I think Jalen put on a hell of a the fumble. He's going to have to deal with that for the rest of his career, probably, unless they come back and get another one real soon. But I said 27-17 only because I thought the Eagles would get out ahead with that defense and put the Chiefs in a more of a one-dimensional type of game with that front four of Philly. I thought I wanted to see, and I got to see it, that the athleticism of both teams playing each other was pretty doggone good.
I wonder how many people had sellers regret getting rid of Mahomes cards earlier than they should have, probably, based off of this game.
I haven't looked, but last year they went down. I wonder, last time we won the Super Bowl, the cards went down. I wonder, did it go down again?
Yeah, well, it's weird because everything is like baked in for these guys already to win the Super Bowl.
Uh-huh.
And it didn't used to be like that. But now, you go try to buy Justin Fields. You would think this is a perfect time to buy Justin Fields if you think he's going to be good, right?
Right.
Well, it's already baked in for him to be great. So he literally would have to win the Super Bowl to really make any kind of substantial money out of it.
Yeah, and
it's just so weird now.
I brought that up before. You start looking. Well, they not only in football have they done this; they've done this in other sports as well. So it's
just like baseball.
Well, baseball to me is spread over, but in football you have the quarterback. The quarterback is the key guy. Basketball, you have certain players. That poor guy with the Bucks, if he doesn't ever win a championship, he's already been blessed as the greatest player of all time. But he hasn't done it. I mean, he's done something. He's awesome. He scores as much as he wants. But with this, I've always asked, if you bought his card at 6,500, what's the ceiling? Where does it go? Like you said, they're built in already superstars. and
Yeah.
you buy them at the first or second year at that amount, what do you do with that card? And baseball is worse. They're not even been in the majors yet, and those prices are there.
Do you think the new college line is going to, Brad? Do you think that new college? We talked about this a little bit last week, but do you think that new college product is going to have more influence on that as far as trying to get into the hobby, or those that are in the hobby going to that product?
Yeah, it's one of those like it'll be awesome for a few months and no one's going to care about it. Like if you're an investor, I wouldn't touch that stuff with 10-foot pole.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I've heard an investor.
But initially, you can do well on it.
I
like,
love college.
Bryce Young or whatever.
I love college uniforms. I collect Virginia, so for somebody like me, it'll be fun. I look for the Virginia guys, college uniforms. I'll even look for some of the bigger names. I'm a little upset myself. I had the Wake Forest pitcher. He's the 10th rated player in the country. One of the top pitchers pitched yesterday here, right 15 minutes from my house. So I could possibly even get one of his cards right now and get it autographed, and he's still in college. So and he'll be a first-round draft pick. The kid in North Carolina is supposed to be a first pick of the draft at UNC Chapel Hill. So
yeah, when Panini treated it as a niche item where it was like 5 college products, it was a wonderful idea. Now I always said they shouldn't have rolled off, like, don't make it collegiate national treasures. Just call it something completely different.
right.
So it can stand alone. That was the mistake they made. But they used to only have like 5 of them. Now there's like a dozen or 15 of them. And it's like, there's just not enough demand to support that.
Right.
That's what's kind of ruined that. But.
Right. So they this year they've straight out came out with a college baseball one. Next year, I'm sure they'll do the NIL, probably college football. The ones are not graduating.
Right.
They'll not draft or anything.
If they do hockey, will y'all buy it?
Hockey's so spread. I couldn't even tell you with junior hockey and everything else, international guys. That'd be, unless that's all you do.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even know where to start. To tell you,
Because college hockey's pretty big up north. So.
Right.
Yeah, Michigan State a couple years back had over 100,000 at the stadium to watch a game. That's what I wanted to get into in a minute. But so in the football season with the the commissioner came out and said, please don't fire your coaches, and they proceeded to fire their coaches in football. Are you surprised at how many coaches again are being let go and then just being recycled somewhere else?
Yeah.
Where's the fresh meat at that these
Right.
guys are supposed to be getting?
So like they've done much better than what it used to be. Like the 2 Eagles guys got jobs who
Right.
you could argue they probably shouldn't even be getting jobs, but at least it's like a swing for the fences type hire. Like
Right.
you're going to get the next big young coach. So they do that more, but yeah, all the regurgitated guys, it's not as bad as it used to be though. But
Right.
yeah, just no one has patience anymore, man. It's
Well,
like
that's you got to give them 4 years, you would think.
oh yeah,
Let them
to
get
me
their-
4 is because here's the problem. Here's why a lot of bad teams stay bad. Okay. They get a new coach, you go 8-9, let's say now, right? But you built a system around that coaching staff. So
Right.
for 2 years and 2 free agencies, you have got players to fit those systems. Now, all of a sudden, even if you're getting a better coach, that coach will take at least 2 more years to now get players that fit his system again. So you're constantly regurgitating, and then you wonder why you don't win. Like, like this. Take the Steelers, for instance. What they had 3 head coaches the last 40 years. It seems like,
Right.
and that's why when a guy gets hurt, you're like, oh, this backup's pretty good, and it's because he was drafted for a specific position, and he knows how to do it because this is the way we play all the time. But yeah, like because the Dolphins have dealt with this for years. We've had underachieving teams just because it's like, well, this guy doesn't fit anymore. Well, that's because you changed coach after 2 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why these bad teams stay bad. It's just there's just no patience.
and the way the draft is set up, and I mean, I know it's so the worst teams get the best players, but a lot of times the worst teams need more than one player. So if they can't trade out of it to get a multitude of players, that's one of the reasons why I think the Patriots were so good for so long. Is it didn't matter where they were at in the draft, they always tend to get like 14 draft picks every year,
Right.
and just and they get players to fit their system. They're not looking for the best player on the board necessarily.
Yeah,
So
because they missed a ton. Like they couldn't draft a wide receiver. They always had,
Right.
they just couldn't do it. But if you get, as you say, you get 14 draft picks. Well, all you need to do is have 6 or 7 of them hit.
right,
Just be good players. You won that draft.
yeah,
And they do it without a first round pick normally, because as you said, they would always trade down out of it.
right, and it's the NFL the draft. You know, you gotta really hit because you're only going to get 7 guys. And I've been around, I've been lucky enough to accidentally been in places almost Forrest Gump style, like where, one of my at Virginia, I was working at Blacksburg, living with a friend. My other best friend was rooming with 2 football players from Tech. I don't know if you remember Jim Druckenmiller in that group.
Oh, yeah.
Tech, right? So I knew Jim Druckenmiller and all those guys personally. I had the tackle. I was using his ID to get into the games because we looked alike. a lot of pounds and ages ago. So, but I was there on draft day with these guys. I was in the room while they're sitting there getting phone calls. Not with Jim, but the other guys on the team. Jim was with his family, but he came and hung out with us afterwards. But I was there with the linebacker, and he had a neck issue that was under wraps during the season, but it came out during the NFL combine and all that. So he kept getting passed down, and they finally just then it was at a point in the draft where we can draft you, but would you rather just be a free agent type of deal? Right. And I thought that was unique. I've never really thought of that late in the draft. Because that was almost the reason why they came up with the last guy in the pick gets stuff, because no guy was the last pick wanted to be the last pick.
Right.
He'd rather be a free agent, go where the best fit was. Yep. So I kind of was lucky to see that firsthand. And, we get to see the number 1, number 2 day guys with their family on TV now. We don't get to see those guys that are sitting around, playing video games with their phone there waiting for that phone call. Yep. That's exactly what we were doing.
And what people don't realize is those guys drafted 4 through 7 and undrafted make up more of the league than the guys drafted.
Yeah.
Kurt Warner, Yep.
Yeah,
he didn't make it 3rd round or something like that. 4th round.
I mean, you got Purdy this year. I mean, Mr. Irrelevant himself. I mean, these guys, because it's so funny. You Brad, I could just tell from watching you way you talk about football. But these guys that come up, you don't know where they're at in their growth, right? Have they peaked yet? Do they have more growth? They're coachable? When I was living in Iowa, the Iowa coach is probably one of the best in the country of taking 3-star guys and making them winners and coachable and get them to the next level in the NFL. Where I'm a UVA fan, and we haven't had one of those coaches in a long time. Not everybody's Alabama, Clemson, where you got 5 stars. But a lot of times those 5 stars, that's their peak.
Right. That's the best.
And they become uncoachable at a certain point. So, how do you think the draft day is as important as we put stock into it, or has these last few years kind of shown maybe we need to relax? Even I'm talking about maybe in a card investment field, going after certain players. Should we just relax, kind of like we do in baseball, and kind of wait it out a little bit to see where these guys fall into?
Absolutely. Like I would recommend. Now, I'm not an investment guy; I'm a collector, but
right.
Like in football, even though all the money's in the quarterbacks, you can't buy quarterbacks. They're too expensive to start, right?
Right.
But I would almost pick up every late round running back.
Mm-hmm.
Pick a card up of a nice one. And you'll be shocked at how many of those guys you'll be able to flip in the middle of the year in the first 2 years. You know, like that's actually, in my experience, where the money's at in the
Now,
NFL. Like the safe money.
Is that due to injury or because
because every team's got to play 2 running backs minimum.
Okay.
Some do 3, right?
Uh-huh.
So you're already looking at 60 guys that are going to be playing significant time in the league.
Right.
And all it takes is every running back, half of them get hurt, right? They miss some time. So you can get a good month out of a guy. You know, like I told people a few years ago, Elijah Mitchell for the 49ers, where he went. I told people to go pick up his stuff. Kenneth Gainwell for the Eagles, same thing. And it's just because these guys are going to get opportunities. It's not because I think they're going to be Hall of Famers. They'd be out of the league in 2 years. It doesn't matter.
Right.
But yeah, like these people, like on the quarterbacks, like the Malik Willis thing. This, to your point, how people give up on people. Right. You knew when you drafted that guy, he was not ready to play in the NFL. Right. That was why he felt like he did. He was not ready. So why do you care if he looked bad when he played in 2 games? Like, he was going to look bad. He's not an NFL quarterback yet. Right. So, people are nuts, the amount of money they pay for the rookie cards.
Yeah. I kind of just, especially football too, you spend all this money on these first year players, quarterbacks, and the injuries are just so. I mean, that poor kid with the 49ers, I mean, you know, you don't even get a chance sometimes. And, I mean, he'll be back. But, I mean, Purdy's going to probably be the backup, right? Or you think they're going to go with Purdy as the starter next year?
No. And he had basically Tommy John surgery for you baseball guys.
Yeah.
Basically what
that's had. Right. I forgot about that.
So
then he came back and struggled a little bit. I mean, he had to.
Again, you want to talk about a guy going into a perfect spot where if ever a 7th-round rookie was going to succeed, that was one of them. Right. You know, but again, what are the prices they pay? And I'm like, it has nothing to do where he was drafted. That doesn't matter.
Right.
But it's like you can tell the guy has limited skill set. Okay. Right. No, it doesn't mean he can't be successful, but he's limited. You know, Alex Smith would be his ceiling, I would say.
Right.
Right. That's if everything went.
You know, he played at Iowa State, and people were like, they were amazed at how well he moved. And I go, well, at Iowa State, he ran for his life for a while.
Right.
And he played all 4 years there. So,
that'll be Lance's job to lose for sure.
Oh, yeah. And I was reading, too, you know, where they were saying, you know, him being these guys picking up late round quarterbacks, that's what they ought to look for. It's the 3-year, 4-year starters. The guys that have been running teams and know how to do it. And
Bill Parcells used to have a rule. If my quarterback didn't start 30 games in college, I ain't drafting him.
Right. Well,
now,
well, you bring that up. I got a question for you. With Dion at Colorado, he pitches to these players. I'm NFL. You know, I can show you how to get into the NFL. Do you think this is going to? College football has the potential of turning into what men's college basketball is, where they're not playing 4 years, they're leaving early to go to the pros.
Yeah, I'm interested to see when this rule changes of 3 years out of high school. That's changing here soon, guys. I'll tell you that much.
Well,
my guess is it's going to age 20. Would be my guess. They don't want 18-year-olds going, but though I think they're changing it to age 20. They won't even do it years out of school; it'll just be age. That's my prediction as they go to age 20.
Well, now they're really, I mean, Fox is really pushing the USFL, and you got ESPN pushing the hell out of XFL. Now you got those two minor league teams, mid leagues, and if they change their rules, you could see guys coming out real early going there, and then maybe switch it over. Kind of like the old USFL days, but the old
they're
USFL
having big combines
days,
too.
Yeah, in the old USFL days, they were getting bought because there was some big money with some of those teams.
Well, like I live in Ohio, so Ohio State is king where I live, right? The reason CJ Stroud took till the very last day to declare for the draft is the rumor is he's taking a pay cut going to the pros.
I believe it.
Gosh, what is
That's how
that?
crazy this has got. And of course, they're like, I never meant it for a pay to play in college. What do you think it was going to turn into when you said,
Right.
oh, yeah, well, he's just doing an advertisement for me? No, you're paying him to come to your school. Like, look at Texas A&M, and they still stink.
Right.
They spent like $100 million.
Well, they went from
Well,
one extreme to the other.
Now they're
Yeah.
just upfront about it. They don't have to hide it in envelopes in an after party somewhere.
Oh, I didn't think it was going to be like this. Oh my gosh.
Well,
You can't be
that was
dumb.
that McKnight kid or whatever that played at USC when he was with the Jets during that, and they had one of the other players mic'd up, and the coach asked him why he was so lazy, and the other players said because he took a pay cut to come here.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it always used to be the guys would normally work at the car dealerships here in Ohio.
Yeah,
That was
Oh,
always
yeah.
the number one job.
right.
Oh, they were part time as a car dealership, making 120 grand.
Well, that was that running back. What was his name? That big dude. What was his name?
Oh, Claret?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was his
Doesn't that.
claim. Yeah, so Ohio State's another place where it seems like, man, they got some amazing players, and half of them don't really pan out in the next level, or they just kind of fizzle. Or that was the other thing. Henry Rangel with all those college football players, I can see where burnout is a real thing. You're playing every play is a car accident, and you got to stay in shape, and how much time they put in off the field to learn all that stuff.
and then some of them catch grief for not, wanting to play in a bowl game that doesn't mean anything.
Right.
They're getting pissed at them. Well, why should they play if they're on track to make the pros? Why? Like you said,
I got to see that bag too. The bag they got from the Sugar Bowl that year. All the watches and everything. I got the actual team T-shirt that I had for a while from where they went. One of them, one of the guys gave to me. Yeah, so that now for the rest of the year, there's going to be, I guess they're talking about a little bit of a quarterback carousel going to happen too this year. What do you think? Led by Lamar.
Yeah. You have disgruntled quarterbacks and teams that are disgruntled with them. So
right.
It used to be, man, you never seen a quarterback leave unless it was just we're done with you. Like you're just old,
right?
Whatever, right? But we're talking guys in their prime, Derek Carr's, Lamar Jackson's, even Rodgers is still really good in his age.
Right.
But yeah, like Aaron Rodgers, I thought that guy was never leaving. This year, I'm almost convinced. I think they're going to move on. It seems like they're just tired of his shenanigans.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson, that thing, I don't see that being repaired either. But you're going to see three legit because Derek Carr, Jimmy Garoppolo is going to get signed by whichever team got left out.
Right.
The Seahawks are going to be dumb and pay Geno Smith a lot of money, whether it's for a year or multiple years.
Now, Dave's going to argue with you. Dave Midlife Card Price is going to argue with that now. He
played solid. Like, he was not, credit to him. But I think you saw what his ceiling was. And is that $40 million? If they franchise tag him, what is it now? Like 40?
That wouldn't make much. Franchise tag, I don't think that would make.
Yeah, so my guess is they signed him to this 2-year deal that's really a 1-year deal for like $25 million. Would be my
with
guess.
A choice on the second year.
Yeah, or
guaranteed.
So my guess is he gets around 25, but
right,
because that's just the going rate. Like,
right. I mean, we say it like it's really not a lot of money for those guys. So.
Yeah, because 25 used to be the top end. Now 45, 50 million is the top end.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm a Cowboys fan, and I think we're so overpaid on two players that it's going to come back and haunt us, and it's not the right two players with Dak and Zeke. You don't pay that much to a running back anymore.
Exactly.
Those days are gone. He's not Tony Dorsett remade. It's
and
just
as I said, it's like even if he is awesome, how many teams use the running back enough to make it work? How
Right.
often do we watch games going, why aren't they using the running back?
right. And
Like,
he's not even their
Aaron
best.
Jones for the Packers has made the second most amount of money the last 2 years.
Right.
And we always sit here and scream at the TV, why hasn't he touched the ball at a quarter and a half? You know, the only team that uses their guy enough to where he's worth every penny is Derrick Henry. That's it. That is literally the only team that
Who's that?
is
I'm
smart
sorry.
to pay the running back.
Who was
Derrick
that?
Henry for the
Oh,
Titans.
yeah.
That's the only team
Derrick
that uses
Henry.
him enough and actually runs the offense through him to justify paying the running back.
Titans is like watching old school football because they have Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
And they're smart. I mean, he's so good. But there's only so much carries he's got left in him, too. I mean, he's going to just all of a sudden fall apart like Marshawn Lynch or one of his
So
other
like the
guys.
Giants have a big decision with Saquon Barkley.
Yeah. Well, I heard they're going
No.
to – what I read, they're going to pay him.
Yeah, but
Because I'm a Mets fan, so I follow SNY. So that way I also get Giants news. And they want to pay him and old Dimes.
yeah. So because here's my philosophy is if you draft a running back in year one, you can get 6 years out of him before you have to, and then you're done. Because
Right.
you've got the 5 years if you pick up the 5th-year option, and then you got the franchise year.
Right.
6 years, let him go. That's what the Steelers did with Le'Veon Bell.
Right.
Brilliant. Use them and abuse. It sounds bad, and I don't blame the player for complaining about it and wanting to get, never blame them, but it's just the way the business is.
Right. It's the business.
6 years, see you later.
Yeah.
You know?
And go on to the next guy.
They want to hold out, go ahead. You can come in week 3. I don't
Right.
need you for all 17 weeks in it. Yeah, I would never hold out. The only holdout would be maybe a left tackle or a quarterback, I would think. Maybe a wide receiver now.
Right. Well, I would almost say right now, I look at the other side of the ball. They don't even call them defensive ends anymore. Your outside rusher.
Yeah, you're just right.
Your DBs. You almost got to run 3 corners instead of 2 safeties, or 2 linebackers, and you have a smaller linebacker that's almost a safety. So,
And nickel
there's a lot
defense is basically your base defense now.
right, and I mean the Patriots started that mess with the hybrids and all that mess. I don't like Belichick at all. I know you don't. But you got to give the man some respect. He kind of made this league.
Fantastic coach, but they gave him too much power, and you're starting to see when Tom Brady left what that leads to.
Right. But I got to give him respect. He's not like the guy that what's his face that coached y'all at Ohio. He kind of sees the writing on the wall and leaves before it hits the fan. When he was at Florida and my heart, I'm leaving. Oh, at the same time, Tebow leaves.
Oh yeah, if you don't care about morals, man, I would hire that guy in a heartbeat to coach my college football team. You will win, but just know you're going to have problems when he leaves.
Fernando, probably nobody. Mason Rudolph. Anybody want Grayson? Danny
That
Downs.
always baffled me how he's still seen as their reliable backup. I'm like, this guy can't play by now. We say you're not patient enough. They've been plenty patient with Mason Rudolph.
Yeah. So some guys, just happy holding the clipboard.
Yep.
But he's that guy, if we gotta put him in and it looks like it's gonna be more than one game, we better start calling up who's not playing right now. Who's at Walmart stocking shelves we can call. So but I really would like to see either league or both leagues be successful or almost merge the 2 leagues, the USFL and XFL, because I think NFL does need a minor league. It does need a place to have players ready to go because the game is so violent now. And you don't want your guy, you put so much money into a guy, you don't want players playing hurt like they did. My dad, yelling at the screen, oh, guys get their arms broke, come back in the second half of the cast. Jack Cam played a Super Bowl with a cracked leg and all this other stuff. And I agree with him to a certain extent, but you got the business side of it, just you don't want that to happen. And I hope those leagues do pan out. And let's see what The Rock does with the XFL.
I have always been in the camp of no one is going to consistently pay to watch on TV secondary sports leagues. Like, you guys love baseball.
Right.
Would you pay money to watch AAA baseball on TV? That's basically what these football leagues are.
The last time they went on strike, I was yelling for them to show it because I was going to the Richmond Braves games.
But I think the majority of people, they want to see the
there was
best.
nothing else to watch. So
Well,
it would have
yeah.
been the best game on, right?
Because, I mean, they push this stuff to death. They do the best they can with it. And it's still always like, well, it's still not as good as we hope. Because people really don't want to, like, they'll watch it as a background, maybe.
Don't have high expectations for it.
Right.
The first weekend, they'll have crazy numbers.
Right. It's always like, oh, this got great.
It's going to go out the ceiling because everybody wants to see who's playing.
Now, people enjoy going to them. Like the people in those cities, they do enjoy them. Much like AAA baseball and stuff. They love going.
Birmingham really did well. It wasn't great. After the season moved on about halfway point, Birmingham got kind of tired of going to support it for the USFL last year. But I think they're playing in two different cities this year. My dad was telling me. I don't know if they're playing at all there. But the XFL, I think, are going to travel.
Yeah, like the only way these work, I think Natsman brought it up earlier, is if the college guys decide to go play there instead of college.
Right.
Then now all of a sudden that becomes nerds like me might start watching it, right?
Well, the AFL days, they were straight competition to the NFL.
Right.
USFL, because they had so much money backing them, could start purchasing contracts of these guys at an NFL level. So Herschel Walker and some of these other guys went to the, Kelly went to the USFL instead of going to the NFL. One guy destroyed the USFL, and we don't need to really talk about that. But so if they would have stayed playing in the spring and not worried about the fall and all of that, we might still have that league. But that's a good question. But I think there's a chance as long as they keep their expectations. It's not a bad thing to play on smaller. You don't have to play in the biggest sandlot, right? Go play in the smaller, and you don't have to play in the same towns as the NFL does. Those already have fans. Key.
Correct.
They already have fans. Go play in towns that want NFL.
That's why, like Alabama, perfect. They love football. They don't have an NFL. Perfect spot to play.
Right. Don't
put them in Tampa Bay. Okay.
Right. Go. I put one right in Oakland.
Yep.
I played Oakland State football field. I don't know where you play, but I would go somewhere that's starving for football. And don't go to the bigger cities. I think that's the big thing. The exclusive, great question. Which team do you think are at risk of having the biggest drop off from last season?
I think the Packers, depending on how this goes, they could end up being kind of bad because the Lions finally look like they have their crap together. The Bears have more money than anyone to spend this year, and they're going to get a bunch of draft picks if they trade the number one pick. And then you have the Vikings, who finally got a legit defensive coordinator with Brian Flores in there now, which that'll help them out. The Packers, I don't think they will, but they could finish last in that division. So I think that's one team that's always just around, even though they missed the playoffs, you're always there, that you could be looking at the 5-12 if this thing goes sideways and Rodgers leaves. So that would be the one right off the top of the head that I would say now. But it's hard to tell before the offseason finishes.
Well, I reason why I say it's a good question because it's almost unanswerable right now.
Yeah.
The NFL is way it's set up is for everybody. Well, they can't be 8-8 anymore, but 8-9 or 9-8. Yep. It's set up for that. So, and the greatest thing they do is if you're a last place team, you play a last place record the next year. That's why you have so many last to firsts and first to last.
Right.
So I've said it before, the year that Lamar Jackson had that all-world year he was playing a last place record. And then the next year he struggled, he had a first place record.
Yep.
Gee, had to play all the first place defenses. It's a little bit different. So I think that NFL does that better than any league. I think baseball's trying to get to that with everybody's going to be basically playing the same schedule. I think that's coming sooner rather than later. I don't know much about the NBA. Hockey, they play each other more in division than not, but they play outside of division only twice. Right. So, I speaking of hockey, you're a Columbus Blue Jackets fan.
Yep.
Beautiful sweaters. When you show some patches, they're always just so beautiful. Just uniform cards, they just really pop. But here's my question: if Columbus was going to play at a football stadium and not Ohio State, would you think it'd be $300 ticket? And it's not being on regular TV. That was the thing that really got me last night. It was on ESPN Plus.
Yeah, they have hockey has messed this up because it's like now you want them to understand okay, you're not competing with the NFL in places like that, right?
Right.
But you can compete for that second spot.
Right.
Hockey is fun to watch when people know what's going on.
Right.
But it's the worst thing they did, you remember when they signed that deal with Versus for 10 years? No one could watch the game. No one even know where to look.
Right.
And then now they're doing this ESPN Plus thing. And it's because they got paid money up front, they're going to cost themselves money and fans later.
Right.
And they're just so bad at it.
Well,
it frustrates me.
I always get the package because I haven't been living in the Virginia area, so I can't watch the Caps. So I always get the package so I get the Caps. And when they switched to ESPN Plus, boy, a lot of hockey fans were just griping because ESPN is always a basketball channel. It's never been high. When it kicked hockey off, that people still remember that, and hockey fans have long memories. That's why hockey's still with Upper Deck, because that was the one place that stuck with them during the last strike. So, and I don't even know if they're the fourth sport now in the country, but
and it's frustrating because I'm telling you, because it's beautiful. They don't take many commercial breaks until the end of the period. It is made for fans to watch.
Right.
There's always something going on, but they don't promote it. My mom loves hockey when she started watching it, but it never occurred to her to start watching. You don't ever advertise it. She didn't know where to find it. She's like, oh, it's on our local Fox Sports. Now it's Bally or whatever.
Right.
But that's no one knows where to find it unless you're a diehard.
Right.
If I told you, hey, the game's on tonight, you'd be like, what channel?
Yeah.
And that's the problem. You don't do that with the NFL, do you?
No.
You don't do that,
Well,
because it's just slammed down your throat. Yeah, more people know when the NFL draft is than when the next NHL game is on national television.
Yeah, and I didn't really care about the ESPN Plus or whatever because I still have my hometown announcers, so I like the guys that do the Caps games, but the hockey does have weird nights where you can't watch it because it's Hockey Night Canada or whatever.
Then they'll have 14 games one night, 2 games the next night.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, so I'm a baseball guy. Sunday is Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN. That's the only game that could be on is that game. So you have the rest of the league, 28 teams play during the day, and 2 teams play at night.
And it won't be the Washington Nationals you get to watch.
Yeah, and it's the only time that Nats make you watch the Nationals is on that night game. And then Saturday, they have that thing with the TBS. And TBS likes to move their game back. They like to pick it. So the rest of the league kind of has to move their games with TBS is doing. It's kind of funny that way. But I want to talk real quick. So you collect football, you collect hockey. That's your 2 main ones, right? Football, You're more almost all Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, that's it. So you won't
Yeah.
find another PC item.
Yeah. You love Jason Taylor, right?
Yep.
Which I do appreciate him. You know who his sisters are pretty good at now sports announcer too.
Oh yeah, Joy. Yep.
Yeah. So and you hockey, are you straight Columbus?
Yeah, and that's a good example of they've made it to where it has to be regional. Like
Right.
it's hard for you to be a fan of anyone else except for your local team. You won't be able to watch it unless you want to
Right.
pay. You know.
Well, that was
But
the
yeah,
one
hockey I got into 2015,
Okay.
and now it's my second favorite sport.
It's mine too. Yours is football and hockey.
Yeah.
Mine is baseball and hockey. So,
Yeah.
I'm a rare 350 pounder that football is the third sport.
But like football,
it's not far
everyone's
behind.
like, why does football get all the ratings? And even though you hear people like, oh, I love baseball, because football has the inherent advantage of every week matters.
Yeah.
Baseball, you can literally be horrible for 2 months and it doesn't matter. You're horrible for 2 months of football, you're done.
Right.
And
Well,
it's
and
just the
also-
inherited. There's one game to watch a week.
Watch one game. That's the thing.
So you are going to build your schedule around it, whether it's
Right.
on a Thursday, Sunday, Monday, whatever.
And if you comparatively speak, all of the local games that baseball shows, their ratings during the year, percentage-wise, is not far off from the football ratings. They always want to compare that ESPN game, but baseball is such a regional sport.
Right.
If you show nothing but the Yankees and Red Sox, you're not going to get the same ratings as just showing an NFL game. It's just not going to be the same.
Right.
Yeah, because they make all their money in October. That's their
Right.
big. That's
Right.
it.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not apples to apples. Same way with hockey. Hockey's a more regional sport.
For
you
sure.
know, your basketball regional. Football is a little bit different, where it's one game a week. It tends to be when you grew up. It tends to be what your football team is, and what I mean by that is who was a good team when you were growing up. Tends to be who I'm a Cowboys fan. I was born in '71, so I'm a Roger Staubach, Landry, Randy White guy. I know, sorry. But other kids in my neighborhood were Raiders, Steelers. We had one weird Oilers fan, but he loved Earl Campbell. Earl Campbell was his guy. So that tends to be the way. Now, my question, what I'm leading up to is there anything else? I've been asking this, and I usually ask this at the beginning, but I want to throw you a curveball. What else do you collect? Anything else? Do you collect any other interest in the hobby world?
So the only other card interest is Scottie Pippen.
Okay.
But for some reason, he sells like just under Michael Jordan. And it's because he doesn't sign anything anymore. He doesn't have and he does it on purpose. He's at interviews saying, "Oh, I don't sign on purpose." He wants to keep his autograph or something. So that's why you see maybe one pickup a year of that guy.
Right.
Because the kind of stuff I'm into, the game use patches, the on-card autos, it's all that old Upper Deck stuff that's $1,000 a piece, But outside of that, I don't really collect like Marvel or anything like that, or Star Wars, or I'm not really collecting anything else.
Do you geek out on anything like
No, I'm not like a
anything
nerd
out of
on
the
anything
sports
else.
world?
No, I'm
Jerseys?
You're not hyped on like the Walking Dead spinoffs or
no.
Okay.
Yeah,
I've been
one of the
I've
few,
been
'cause
pulling
most
it
of
out
us
of
have
everybody. Huh?
Yeah, mine is all sports card related, basically.
Okay.
Or like I'll have a few pictures on the wall, but I don't.
I wish I was like that, so I'd have more money into one thing.
Well, yeah,
I'm all over the
I will
place.
say I stay pretty focused. Like, so when something does pop up, I didn't, usually waste it on something. I was like, why did I buy that when I could
Yeah,
have
see,
this?
to me, you're ultra focused.
Yeah. So, some people will look at like some of the Merino stuff I had that I couldn't buy today.
Right.
Like
Right.
some of these flawless patch autos that are like $800,000 now. I got them for $250, $300.
Right.
Back in 2015, 2014.
Right.
And it's like, so some people will look at it and be like, whoa, how did you get not realizing it's not, but because I was ultra focused pretty much the whole adult life,
Right.
I was able to acquire some of these rarer things that otherwise I wouldn't have now.
Yeah, and that's to me. I love. I have a bad. I love to open boxes. But we're going to talk about that with you too, because my man, you don't get the 5 and dime boxes.
You won't see me with the blaster box.
Huh?
Yeah, you won't see me with the blaster boxes when I
You get
decide that it's time to open one. Yeah.
What was that golden one you just opened in baseball?
The Gilded Collection.
Gilded Collection.
Yeah.
Holy smokes, my man. I was like, this guy, football collector, and goes out and gets the Gilded Collection.
And the funny thing is, most of the stuff I open, you will find is either the good one or like Allen and Ginter types, or it'll be those higher, like higher end baseball, because they seem to be the best value. You also, if I finally found some older baseball, like the old Sterlings, an old tribute I opened up a few months back, and that stuff was awesome because you got game use stuff, a Hall of Famers.
Yes.
So as long as I can find it for the right price, I'd buy that stuff all day.
When I started working where I could get more than a couple of packs a week, where I had enough when I was a grown up. I think it was last week. Was it last week, Nats man, I became a grown up? I can't remember. But anyway,
it may have been the week before, I think.
That's when I started, you can still buy like tribute museum collection at a reasonable. They were the high end product at that point, and I could buy that stuff. And that's when I was like, holy crap, look at this part of the hobby that I couldn't really enjoy because I didn't have that wasn't the funds area I was in. If it wasn't in a rack at 7-Eleven, I couldn't buy it.
Right.
So, what kind of rack you're thinking? That's me, dirty man. Anyway, anyway,
Have a price check.
Yeah. So, I'm with you on that. But man, that's a beautiful product, and I think you said even how much.
I'll tell you, like I paid $400 for it. It's not the $700 you see blowout chart.
Right.
That's the rare thing. You remember back just like pre-2016, I would say. You remember you always had to pay more at the card shop.
Right.
Now the card shop is less than blowout and DA consistently. At least mine are.
I think Fanatics is starting to work with the card shops. I think we're going to see opposite. I've been saying this for a while. I think Fanatics knows where their bread is buttered. I think that's why they started cutting away from the large distributors, the ones that were price gouging, and like, okay, we're going to work with these guys, and we'll make some money off of our end. But my card shop here, Score More Sports, here in Winston-Salem, they're even a few dollars cheaper than Tops. And I'm not paying. Well, Tops you don't really pay shipping and handling, but I don't have to pay. I get it right then. I got 2 jumbo boxes this past week because I think this year's collection of rookies is just great for baseball. It might not be,
and that's the thing,
but they're going to be good.
That's the thing, Scott. That's the thing, Scott, is that I think you're right about Fanatics. Is that they're realizing that the consumer, they want it right there in their hand. If they got it in their hand, they're probably, and they get something good, or even if they don't get a hit, they're probably going to buy again,
right?
Maybe in that same transaction.
Well, you opened the Goodwin. You brought it up, the Goodwin Champions medal. I believe I saw you open up too, right? Or was it just a straight?
Yeah. Yes.
You opened that.
Yeah, that was one of the few I've regretted opening. That was not.
And you notice once the Jordans got pulled, that price came down. You can get that box.
Really that was probably my one regret.
I messaged you. I was like, you mind me asking what you
Yeah. And again, it was lower than what you see on that. But I was like, I even told you, I was like, I don't recommend it, dude. Like,
I was like,
I thought, this is where you need to look at the checklist before you buy something. I thought, like I knew it would have LeBrons and Jordan, but the checklist wasn't very good. The type of people they had in it. It wasn't a lot from the other sports,
right?
That are rare to get. Like they do in regular Goodwin Champions or something like that.
Yeah, it was a lot of the same people, just different images. I saw that they only had one baseball player in the whole thing, and then I think Tiger they only had a handful of. I like it for golfers.
Oh,
I usually buy the SP Upper Deck SP when they come out with it every 4 or 5 years. But I wasn't going to pay a hostage fee to buy the box this year. I don't know why it was. I still don't know why it's still. So
I don't get it either. I like prices of cards are coming down, boxes are going up. Explain that.
Right.
I don't.
Well, me and Natsman talked last week where it looked like some baseball. I don't know if it's the season starting up, but some of the stars and the autos are kind of starting to find their way going in short prints, numbered cards. But with that being said, do you collect those, or do you box them, or is that just a straight resell?
No,
to buy a
I
card?
straight resell, gift, whatever. Like I am one of the few people I do not own a baseball card for the personal collection.
Okay.
Not one.
Well, when you opened it, that was the first question that came. It's like, he's opening this. I'm watching this, and I'm like, maybe he's going to tell us why he bought it.
Yeah, no, like I said, I probably have opened up more baseball on the channel of anything else. And like
Now,
I
is
said,
that
just because I
because
feel like it's the best value, especially
right
mid-range
and
stuff,
affordable,
right?
because football's still kind of on the pricey side for the better stuff,
Right.
and the quality control sucks.
Yeah,
The one doesn't justify the other,
right.
But I know Panini doesn't set the price on the secondary market, but if you're going to pay $700 for Prism, at least one it's centered.
But yeah, the card shop knows anytime he gets anything from 2003 to 2011 to call me.
Oh, okay.
It's like, I want to know what you got. Like he has a 2008 Prime Cuts right now, but he just wants a little too much for it. He said, he's like, I think I overpaid for it a little bit, but he's like, you just never see it.
Right.
So I had to leave that one sitter. That one would have been coming home too. But
he's got too much into it. Is that what he told you?
Yeah, because it's at $650, and he paid, I think, $6.
I think I'm gonna make at the National make bingo cards to hand out.
I got too
and that's gonna be the free spaces. I got too much into it.
I'm gonna hold it. I'm gonna sit and hold it.
But yeah, he found two old dealers that were getting out of it, and they were, been dealers for a long time, and they had either sealed boxes. In this case, I think they had 2 sealed cases of that.
Right.
You don't find that anywhere now.
Right.
So that's where I got that old Sterling and Tribute from, and
right.
So
it was just I was saving that question when we. Mostly I wanted to talk football with you, but being a baseball guy, I was like, I'm watching a football guy open a box I wish I would have had. I just thought because the set is so big for that gilded or whatever, the price is okay, not bad, but the set is so big. So when you get Tribute and there's other ones, it's a smaller set list.
Yeah.
So you feel like you have a better shot at getting some of the stars. When you get that, you're looking at a bigger checklist, and you're like, ugh. It's kind of like the Sapphire opening. You're like, ugh, that's a lot of money to spend, and it's going to take you 50 boxes to hit the one card.
And I'll be honest, I was a little disappointed in the Topps Chrome cards that came in it.
Oh, really?
Because it's hard to explain, but it was almost like they were matted, almost, but they didn't have that chrome shine to them. So it was like you had the chrome card, and then it's like it had this thing over top, like kind of like a matte finish over top of it.
It almost looked like they had weight to them too when you were holding them.
Yeah, they would fit in it was more closer to the 55 point top loader.
Oh, okay.
You could jam it in the 35, but you know what I mean? They were a little thicker.
Yeah.
And they were slick, but they weren't really, I wouldn't call them a refractor. It was more like you have the gold, and it was like it was a chrome card, but it didn't really feel like a refractor. It was hard to explain, but I was surprised what that Bryce Harper did, though. Who did almost $60. That number.
Oh, really?
I was like, I thought it was $20.
You should have called Mike. He would have gave it to you.
Yeah, he knew I had it, but I was like, I don't like to necessarily solicit people like, hey, I feel weird sometimes. Sometimes I'll be like, hey, just let you know I have this if a guy's like a super collector,
Right.
But, yeah, otherwise I just feel weird. Like I don't want to
Well, I let you
Freshman
know that a
mind.
friend of mine hit the Bryce Stott super short print because I know those are tough to come by. So I was like, hey, I know somebody. He's me and him collect the set for the team. He got me doing the Mets one, so well, look out for each other on that stuff. But Brad, it's been a pleasure having you on, man. Should have done this a long time ago. Uh, Congratulations, man. I think you and some of these other guys. I wish some of the other guys that were older guys in the hobby could have been there with you on this one, but you're representing and you're representing well, brother. Hope those guys don't give you too much shit at the
Only a
show.
little bit, not too much.
Have they called you or texted you making fun of you yet for getting it?
A little bit. Some of them have.
'Cause I can see that from
Yeah,
that group that y'all introduced me to.
but mostly, you know, mostly all good. But yeah,
Yeah. Oh, I'm not
It's
talking
all
about
good
bad
fun.
way. Just like
Oh yeah, no, they have.
it's more of a got to give you shit about it.
Yes, and I'd be disappointed if they didn't.
Right? You would. Are they not even paying attention to what I'm doing? So, man, all right. Well, we're going to see you in a few months. We're going to keep in touch on the webs. You will be going to the show, right? You're going to Nashville
Yes.
this year, right?
Yep, everything's all booked up and everything, so I'll be there.
Did you get a hotel near the place?
Yeah, I'm staying at the Crown Plaza across the street.
How? When did you book that? Like
November.
of last year?
Mm-hmm.
What do you know somebody?
No, you have to go. Do not ever wait for them to release the hotels on their site.
Right.
Don't
Okay.
ever do that.
Right.
But yeah, if you go directly to their site, they will let you do it like 9 months ahead of time or something like that.
I went there, but everybody that was with me didn't want to pay that. They were hoping to get.
Oh yeah, the prices are dumb. I mean,
Right.
they were, what was it, 200 a night?
Yeah, so I'm driving just so we have
180
a shuttle. So
yeah, I just do it out of convenience. It's one of those like it's a one time a year thing. For convenience, I'll pay up a little bit. I guess. You know. Yeah. If I did it multiple times, heck no, I would be staying.
right.
You know, paying half that price. But yeah, like last time, I didn't even have to get in a car if I didn't want to. You know?
I didn't either.
I've
always stayed in the same place. I think it's that Crown Royal, whatever. It's I think accidentally I stayed in the same place with Mike and them last year, different floors and all that. But yeah, where I could just stroll to everywhere. That's the good thing about Chicago. But we're trying to figure out it. There's no way there's more people going to be attending this one than the one that was 2 years ago. I don't think so.
It makes me wonder if there's shenanigans going on or not. I don't know.
I looked to see if there was something else going on in the upstairs. Because I think 2 years ago, the one before that, they had the Halo thing going on at the same time.
Upstairs. Oh yeah, there was something else going on. Yeah.
Yeah, and in the hotel I was in, they had a pop culture horror show thing going on at the same time. Because I read the elevator with the guy that plays Freddy. So
yeah, hopefully they realize that now this is a pretty big thing. We're not to double schedule anymore, probably.
Yeah, or there's the girls' pro softball leagues playing that night with all the teams in town, right around the corner. Because that's where they play their league at. Is at that softball field. You know the softball field's right there.
Yeah, right in the back.
Swing. Yeah. You're just Scott in the background going swing.
Yeah, I mean walk back in.
But yeah, I got on that right away when I decided I was going. I just went ahead and said, I don't know if it'll be a little bit more if you do it now. I just said I'm just gonna do it.
Right. But you got your room. That's the main thing.
Right.
You're there now. It's over with.
I'm a planner, man. I'm not.
If you put it on a credit card, it's free, right?
Right.
Are you still using that one you found in the parking lot?
All right, guys. So we're gonna call it. We're sitting here. I can BS the rest of the night. Again, thank you, Brad, so much for coming on. Nats, man, always. Till next time, like, share, tell a friend, subscribe if you haven't. Hit the thumbs up, please. Say hi downstairs and below, whatever. See ya.
Hashtag to the South.